Welcome to Life Transformation Radio. This show is all about life transformations and our journey from where we were to why we are doing what we are doing today. We will discuss the hiccups, the roller coasters, and the blood, sweat, and tears that has been poured out while discovering our purpose. It is all about our transformation. Here is your host, Sean Douglas.
Good morning and welcome to Life Transformation Radio. I'm your host, Master Resilience Implementer, TEDx speaker, business positioning strategist, and author, Sean Douglas. This show is currently heard in over 70 countries. So I want to thank you to those who are listening from around the world. Life Transformation Radio is all about our transformation. Here is where we tell the stories of why we're doing what we're doing. We highlight that transformational moment that changed our lives and how we use this to then transform others and elevate their lives as well. You can listen to us live right here on the Blog Talk Radio Network Tuesday through Friday and join our Facebook community, Life Transformation Radio Community, and talk with the guests that come on the show. I ask that you subscribe to the show wherever you're comfortable listening to podcasts. The show you can be found on iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, TuneIn, Player FM, Radio Public, Overcast, CastBox, the Himalaya app, and the Google Play Music app. Please subscribe wherever you're comfortable listening to shows. On the show, I bring on entrepreneurs, speakers, business owners, coaches, other podcasters, and authors who are amazing at what they do at impacting the world around them. And my guest today does exactly that. If you have any questions for any of the guests that I bring on the show during our live broadcast, you can call us up at 657-383-1109. Again, the number is 657-383-1109. And with that, please help me welcome to the show, Dr. Mara Karpel. How's it going? Welcome to Life Transformation Radio.
Thank you so much, Sean, for having me on the program. I'm really excited to have the opportunity to speak with you and share my passion with your listeners.
Love it. And I want to thank you for the book that you sent me as well. I had done a Facebook Live and included the book inside of a podcast episode. They asked me, says, what's the closest book to you? And I was like, well, I think Dr. Oh, yeah, here it is right here, And, it sat on my desk and read through it. It was really, really good. And so I just want to thank you for sending me the book.
Well, you're welcome. And, thank you for that, for plugging it a little bit. And I'm really glad to hear that you enjoyed it.
It was a little longer than I thought, because a lot of people who write books, they don't make the books, that long. And so I got it. I was like, wow, this is not light reading at all. But once I dug into it, I was like, all right, I know a lot of people that could probably use this. And I started thinking about people that are in my network. I'm like, okay, well, I could probably, and first of all, I love the fact that you actually included an appendix in your book that gives you the list of resources, references. Like, a lot of people don't do that, and it cites all of the research studies and interviews in the book,
yes.
I believe.
Yes.
Yeah, so I thought that was really, really, really cool.
Yeah, a lot of people have told me that they sit with a pen and paper while they're reading my book to write down the other books that they want to read based on my recommendations. And, I've had so many amazing people on my show, which is also here on Blog Talk Radio, that I really wanted to include their pieces of their interview in the book because, they really influenced my life. And so my book is all about living a passionate life. That's the title, The Passionate Life, Creating Vitality and Joy at Any Age. And you're right, it's a big book. In fact, I hadn't actually seen a paper copy of it for a long time. It took a while for me to get the author copies, and other people were receiving it when they ordered it. And I called my mom and I said, what does it look like? How does it look? And she said, it's really big. It's like, really?
That's funny.
But, it took me 4.5 years to write this book, and, I really put everything into it. My experience as a psychologist for 27 years, my the information from the guests on the program, as well as my own journey in creating a passionate life for myself. And I got very personal in the book. So there's a lot in there, but I did make it very readable. That was my goal. That I pictured someone sitting down with the book and opening it to anywhere in the book and just reading a chapter that's just like, 3 or 4 pages long. Yeah. So that's kind of how I organized it.
Very easy to digest and very easy to read. Yeah. Yeah. The one thing that stuck out to me was when you were talking about drinking coffee on an empty stomach, and I was like, huh.
Oh yeah.
I did not know that. Like I mean, how many people wake up, get their product coffee, right? Make their coffee, maybe go get dressed. Like the first thing they do is they start their coffee, right? Then they go get dressed or they put on makeup or they shower or whatever. And then the second thing they do is they go grab the coffee that was just made. Then they start drinking it. They haven't ate anything, And I got to thinking, I was like, this is like people's morning routines. Make the coffee, go get dressed or changed or whatever. Then, drink the coffee, and then I'm like, how many people actually do that? Like,
now,
I
was guilty of doing that. But, there are consequences. And I love coffee, as you read in that book. I start with, I love coffee. So I don't tell people they should give up the coffee. But there are consequences to drinking it on an empty stomach because it's very acidic and it starts to produce the, hydrochloric acid in our stomach, and it also has more of an effect on making us more jittery. And, if people have any sort of anxiety, it can actually increase the anxiety, and that is more enhanced if it's on an empty stomach.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. So let's dive in, right, to you and learn more about the passionate life. So the title of this episode is The Passionate Life with Clinical Psychologist Dr. Mara Karpel. She is or has been practicing clinical psychologist for 27 years, specializing in working with older adults and caregivers, as well as adults of all ages who are dealing with issues of anxiety, depression, or desiring to create more joy in their lives. She also specializes in evaluating veterans for post-traumatic stress disorder and other service-connected mental health issues. Dr. Mara is the host of the blog talk radio show, Dr. Mara Karpel and Your Golden Years, a program that has been on air for over 7 years. The first 2 years of the show were on Austin's Talk Radio 1370, and the last 5 have been live streamed on Blog Talk Radio. In this program, Dr. Mara focuses on the topics of the social, emotional, and health issues of older adults, caregivers, boomers, and all who want to grow older with greater health, passion, and joy. She's a regular contributor to Arianna Huffington's new online publication, Thrive Global, and to Sivana East. And she has had several of her blogs published in the Huffington Post. Her book, The Passionate Life, Creating Vitality and Joy at Any Age, is an international bestseller and is a guide for all who want to live a more vital, joyful life. In The Passionate Life, with the foreword by the Barefoot Doctor, Dr. Mara interweaves her expertise as a psychologist, her own personal experiences while pursuing a life of passion, and the wisdom of today's thought leaders on physical, emotional, and spiritual health, many of whom have appeared on her radio program, into these pages, teaching readers valuable tips for creating a meaningful, vital, and joyful life, no matter what challenges they may face. Her Facebook, her LinkedIn, and the website is right there in the show note. Go and click and connect with her. She is absolutely phenomenal at what she does. And get her book today. It's available everywhere. The Passionate Life, Creating Vitality and Joy at Any Age. after reading this, I knew exactly who I need to give this book to next, or at least buy them a copy and give it to them. I know exactly who needs to do this. So with that said, tell me, or tell the listeners, what is your why? What is your deep why for what you do?
Well, first of all, thank you for that introduction. That's, when you were reading, it was like, wow, okay. I've been thinking about this for, since you invited me onto this program, and, I've been thinking about, what drives me to do this. And I would say, I started in the field of psychology really feeling that I was born to be a psychologist. Mm-hmm. I grew up listening to people's problems. People would just naturally gravitate to me and tell me what was going on in their life, and I felt I could feel what they were feeling. I really, have a very strong sense of empathy. And so, I became a psychologist because it felt like that was what I was supposed to do. Along my path, I discovered that as I was doing it, I became a psychologist. I did all that hard work, to get my PhD because, gosh darn it, I was going all the way, and everybody thought I was crazy to do that, but I did it. And yeah. I was doing this and discovered that I still wasn't doing everything that I wanted to do. I felt like this very, I felt like my soul was waking me up in the middle of the night saying, hey, there's something more that you're supposed to be doing. Not that I'm not supposed to be a psychologist, but there's something more. And I think that I finally discovered it, and I'll get to that when we, in a little bit. But what I realized along this path is that the something more was finding my deepest passion and using my creativity and really using all of who I am. And, I'm a good listener. I'm really intuitive. I'm really helpful in guiding people on their path, but I wasn't using my own creativity and finding my own joy in doing what I was doing. So when I finally found my passion, which is doing all the things that you just described, writing and doing this radio show and public speaking, when I found that passion, I discovered that I was more resilient to things that were going on in my life and some pretty major obstacles in my life. And it was like the light turned on for me. And so that became my why. Like, I really want to help people turn on the light for themselves. That I realized that the common theme when I look at all of my clients, whether they're 85 years old or 35 or they've been to combat zones, that the common theme that runs through all of these people is that they want to feel a sense of purpose in their life. They want a sense of meaning, and they want to know who they are and be able to express that in the world. And so that brings me more passion to be able to help people to find that in their own lives, find that passion and build that resilience in their own life. And I truly believe that in helping people find their passion and their joy is also my way of helping to create a kinder, more joyful place to live in this planet Earth. That's the bigger picture of it. Yeah. Yeah.
I like it.
So I
like that. So, I mean, you wrote about it in your book, The Passionate Life. I mean, that's your purpose, to get people to live that, to basically live life passionately. But where does it come from? Where do you think that living or creating vitality and joy, where does it come from?
I think, as I wrote in the book, it's a very holistic approach, mind, body, and spirit. I think there are many facets to living a passionate life. So, number one, though, of course, is allowing ourselves to dream and to actually explore those dreams, no matter how old we are. So, very often we get the message that dreaming is for young people, and then when we hit adulthood, that we need to stop that nonsense and get on with the practicality of life. And so we sort of push down all of that creativity and those hidden talents that we have, and the things that used to make us want to dance around the house when we were children, and I think that allowing that to come back and allowing ourselves to explore that is a really important part of living a passionate life. We need to give ourselves permission to be like those children again. When I was first doing radio, we did a little radio show in South Texas that was pre-recorded, and I would send in the disc to a station that played oldies music, and they would play it at 6 o'clock on Sunday morning. I remember sitting there with the headphones on, and I had the producer next to me, and all of a sudden I flashed back to my bedroom when I was 10 years old, and I had a tape recorder that I was given for my birthday present, and I was doing a radio show in my bedroom at 10 years old.
Oh, wow.
And, so, and I was like, that was like, whoa, like I completely forgot about that, but that was what gave me joy as a 10-year-old to have this radio show and and bring joy to other people. It was a variety show. I was every part of the show. Yeah. So I think that's like number one. And then, all of the other parts of it, the taking care of our bodies, really important. As my grandmother used to tell me, if you don't have your health, you don't have anything. So I think it's really important. If we're in pain physically, it's very hard to focus on feeling joyful. And so I talk about dealing with chronic pain. I talk about prevention and having energy and vitality from what we eat, and how the food that we eat even affects our emotions directly, affects our neurotransmitters by what we ingest, and moving our bodies and, getting enough exercise. All of that is part of it, and it sort of, it triggers that vitality and ability to then follow our dreams. And of course, as a psychologist, I know the emotional pain that people have. And so being able to get past that and move through that, dealing with the anxiety and depression and worried about what other people think of us, and that inner critic that's always telling us, you're not very good at that. Why would anybody be interested in listening to you or looking at your artwork or, whatever it is. So being able to move past that. But I think, the number one, factor is being able to give ourselves permission to dream.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I like that a lot. So the whole show is about life transformation. And I don't think everything's all sunshine and rainbows. I think that life happens for us and not to us. So highlight a transformational moment in your life that put you on the path to what you're doing today.
I was thinking about this because I know that, the title of your show is Life Transformation Radio. And I was thinking about my life and realized that I would say my life was a series of transformational moments, and some of them were more subtle than others. And I think, one transformation, which didn't really happen to me, but it was an event that occurred, was that I was part of, was I was an engineering student when I entered college, because the 80s was, when I went to college, engineering was really big for women. They were now opening it up for women, and so I knew that I can make a living as an engineer. I was good at math. My dad was an engineer. But as I was, taking the courses, I realized I really didn't like math that much. I started to feel like, oh, this is the wrong path for me. And one of my friends in the dorm told me that she had seen a sign advertising for interviews to be a peer counselor, to get training as a peer counselor. And she said, everybody comes to you with their problems. I think you should do that. When she said that, it was like, yeah, you're right. That would be kind of fun. So I did the training, and then through the time that I was a peer counselor, I only had one student come in during my shift as a counselor, but this student was suicidal, and he was talking about ending his life, and he was planning to do it that night. And I spent 2 hours with him, convincing him to wait a while and let's go over to the student health center, where they had the more professional counselors. I mean, they taught us to do that, to be able to keep someone from killing themselves, and now let's get you professional help. And he did that. He agreed, yes, I'll come with you, and we walked over there. And I was like, I felt this feeling like my heart opened, and I was like walking on clouds. I had this like burst of energy like I had never had before. And I called my parents and I said, I'm not going to be an engineer. I'm going to get my PhD in clinical psychology. It was like that night. I wanted to do this for the rest of my life. So cool. I think that, that wasn't like a painful moment for me, but I was there for someone else's pain, right? And I had gotten to be, I felt like I had saved a life. And
that's
then
definitely
I would say,
a transformational moment. Definitely a transformational moment.
Yeah. And then, as I described that, I would say those moments where I got woken up in the middle of the night for years, feeling like something's wrong, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. And that was painful. But I listened to it. And I think the one thing that runs common, like that's a common theme through all my transformational moments, was that I said yes to things that scared me and excited me at the same time. And I said powerful no's to things that felt like they were wrong for me. I actually didn't follow the path that I was expected to. And I said no. Yeah. And I think those were the common themes. And then, I said yes when it was suggested to me to do first a live television show here in Austin, Texas. And I did that. And it was funny because it was on a local access TV station, and they had me looking at the wrong camera, and it was, but again, I had that buzzing feeling like I was vibrating. This is what I'm supposed to be doing. And so it's been sort of that yes, yes, yes to every opportunity that has come along, where it sounded really scary, but there was something about it that excited me. And then, in terms of like really painful, I was already on this path of passion. I was writing my book. I had been doing the show for a few years already. I was 6 months into writing the book. I had just gotten accepted to be a regular contributor to Huffington Post when my dad, who I was very close to, fell, and he was 92, and he never recovered from that fall. He developed a
Wow.
brain bleed, and so it was like 4 months of the beginning trying to rehabilitate him, and then realizing that no, he was dying, and it was really 4 months of hell. And I stopped writing, but I kept doing the show. Once I came back from being with him, and then after he passed away, 4 months later, I took a break, obviously, during that week after he passed away, but then I got back to doing the show, and it took me about 6 months to get back to writing, and I had a hard time. I was in a really, really dark place, but I knew that my dad was extremely proud that I was writing a book. He loved talking about it to people. He loved the fact that I was doing my show. He loved that I was seeing veterans because he was a World War II veteran.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he used to tell everybody, this is my daughter, she sees veterans, and he would get tears in his eyes. And,
That's
so
awesome.
that's, and my mom she's still alive, and I knew she wanted me to write this book. So I started, kind of sitting down and getting myself to write again, and discovered that writing was sort of my way out in the show as well. For that hour and a half of my show, I forgot everything and just was focused on the show, and so really had that joyful feeling sort of sneak in. And as I was writing, I felt like I was writing myself out of this dark place, and my book actually changed. It totally transformed my style of writing. I became much more real and much more raw. I felt like it was therapy for me, and I felt like I could connect more with the pain of people reading my book. And slowly, as I was writing the book again, I felt that the joy was coming back, sunshine was coming back into my life, and I really discovered, this was a big transformation, that I discovered that it's possible to feel joy and intense pain at the same time.
Wow.
Because I don't believe that pain ever really goes away, and it's something that we're all going to deal with at some point in our life if we haven't already.
Right.
But I also know that we're able to feel joy and have, and even with that pain, they kind of live side by side. And the big discovery for me was that having a passion was what kept me from falling apart, and it kept me going, and it creates resilience to life's ups and downs. So I guess I became even more passionate about sharing that message.
I love it. Absolutely love that. It's the things that we think about late at night, and it's the things that come back to us that I find really laid that foundation for our transformation, to take hold. There's some nights that I'm sitting here, I'm like, man, I look back at everything. It's just like a reflection moment, and it's these moments that I'm just like, man, I can't believe how everything turned out. If you look back 10 years ago, 15, 20 years ago, and you timeline everything, and you look back and you see the stepping stones that had to happen in order for you to take hold of what's happening now, it is remarkable and unexplainable how everything fits together, how everything has to happen in the way that it happened in order for us to take hold of what we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to live. I find it, I don't know, indescribable, I guess.
Absolutely. And I think that if we're open to what happens to us rather than trying to resist it and say, no, 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 I don't want that. Then doors open for us and we meet the people that we're supposed to meet to help us on this path. We meet the teachers. We're given the suggestions and the opportunities and all of that. I think that when we close ourselves off into a cocoon and we are scared of following anything that might sound a little exciting, but we just don't want to do it because we're too fearful, then we lose some of that. We lose some of that opportunity.
Absolutely, 100%.
Saying yes, I mean, even with my father's death, I mean, as it's very sad, it's still painful. But I was able to say yes to getting back to my passion and using the lessons that I was learning, the hard knocks of life, to create more passion and to help other people and connect with the hard times that other people go through. So I could have easily said, no, that's it, I'm giving up, right? But, I think it's important to say yes.
Oh, absolutely. I live my life by saying yes and figuring it out. That's how most of the things have happened. I'm not even joking. So, I looked at, in 2016, I wrote my book. I wrote my book. It's called Decisions, The Power to Overcome Self-Defeating Behaviors. And I wrote about the self-defeating behaviors that people have and the self-defeating behaviors that people go through life with and how to overcome those self-defeating behaviors. One thing that somebody told me was, man, that podcasting is getting real big right now. People are starting to do a lot of shows and, whatever. Crap. I don't want to do a podcast. I don't want to do a radio show. But then I thought about it. I'm like, well, man, I may not want to do it, but this is kind of the first big steps. And I said, yes, let's figure it out. So the latter part of 2016, I was researching every day. Just researching, talking to podcasters, getting the lay of the land, right? Trying to figure this out. Because I believe that if you want to be successful in any arena, you must first know the rules of the arena that you're playing in. And then find out who the big players are, who the star players are. Then once you figure out who the star players are, then you can start making your moves. So February of 2017, I launched Life Transformation Radio. And in the first year, I had guests like Bruce Buffer from UFC, Frank Shankowitz, the founder of the Make-A-Wish Foundation, Zig Ziglar's son, Tom Ziglar. I had big names on the show. And I'm like, holy smokes, I can't believe they said yes. I cannot believe that they said yes. This is awesome. And had I said no, we wouldn't be sitting here right now. I wouldn't have had the big names on the show. People wouldn't have been I get messages all the time like, man, I love your show. I love your show. I speak at different podcast events. And this right here, this conversation, somebody's going to listen to and go, man, I need that. I need more joy. I need vitality and joy in my life. I'm at a certain age. I don't feel it. My life sucks. You know what I hear a lot of? I thought I'd be farther along than I am right now.
Right.
That's what I hear.
Right. I think that's a common theme, right? A lot of people say, I thought I'd be farther along.
Yeah.
We think when we think of people, I was just having this conversation yesterday, when we think about the overnight success.
Oh, yeah.
It's overnight to those of us observing it. It's not overnight to the person doing it. They've been working on it for years and years and going through the grind and just getting back up when they got knocked down, and they just keep going. Right?
100%. Absolutely.
I think it was Michael Jordan who said that he failed, he missed the basket an immense amount of times, and he missed that final shot that he was given, to win the game. He lost it over and over again before he became successful.
Yeah. He says, I failed, and therefore I am a success. It's all about learning
Right.
through failure. He's missed X amount of shots. He's been given the ball X amount of times to win the game, and he's failed. And he says, because I have failed, I am a success. Because you learn through failure. And people who shy away from failure don't learn as fast. I want to fail. Everybody's like, what? I'm like, I want to fail fast and hard. I want it to be like, I want to start this thing and just fail. Like, it's not working, give up, I want to fail. Right? And so I can persevere through that failure and prove to myself that I can do it. And most of the times, I can do it. There's other times where I'm like, okay, this really isn't working. Why isn't this working? I need to go get help. And then some people are like, dude, there's nothing you can do. There's nothing you can do. It's never going to happen for you. It's just, this isn't going to happen. And sometimes there's an acceptance, and there's nothing wrong with that. I am not going to play in the NFL, or in any major league sport.
Right.
You know what I mean? If I keep on trying, it's like there's a point where you become delusional. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I have a chance maybe to be as big as Tony Robbins, as a speaker, as a coach, But what people don't understand is people who are getting turned on to Tony Robbins, like, oh my God, this guy's amazing. It's like he's been at it for 40 years.
Right.
He's been doing this, and he's just now selling out arenas,
Right.
If you look at Uber, right? Uber isn't an overnight success. Everybody's like, oh my God, Uber's amazing. They'd operated for 3 years in San Francisco before they even became a success. You know what I'm saying? So there is no overnight success. There is no pill. There is no shortcut. You got to put the work in. But having passion and resilience along the way is what matters. Passion and resilience.
Well, I think, it's really important to remember that the goal is not the final achieving your dream is not the goal of all of this, because when you achieve your dream, you're going to just have another dream afterwards, right?
100%.
Okay, I'm here now. What's next? So if you're only focused on I will be happy when I achieve that goal, then the happiness is going to be fleeting. It's not going to stay very long, and you may never actually achieve that goal.
That's what I call them. Happiness chasers. That's what I call them. I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when. I'll be happy when. Why can't you be happy now? Be happy now and content later.
So, I'm really all for the joy in the journey. So for me, I'm still plugging away at getting the book promoted and doing my show and having more and more people listen to it, right? But I'm enjoying the process of it before I even get there. I'm enjoying having the opportunities to meet so many interesting people and to to talk to you, for example. All of this excites me. All of these new opportunities and doors opening when I suddenly see another opportunity or a connection where it's like very synchronistic, where I meet somebody who knows someone else and they're like, yeah, I'm going to help you because you're already working with this person. That to me is a magical moment. And in itself, that brings me joy. I'm not all, saying, okay, where's this going to take me? Am I going to make a lot of money or am I going to be famous? No. No, at this moment, I'm like, wow, this is so cool. This is just so much fun. Look at all this, these people I'm meeting. Look at this synchronistic event. And I think that is sort of a retraining. We don't know what the future is going to hold. We don't know if we're going to make it to that final goal, but let's enjoy the journey.
100%. Absolutely. So let's do this. Let's do a shameless plug. You can plug your friends, quotes, websites, Facebook, whatever it is that you want to plug, your book, your programs, products, and services. This moment is for you. Shameless plug moment. Go.
Okay. Wow. All right. So I have my online radio show right here on the same station on blogtalkradio.com. It's Dr. Mara Karpel and Your Golden Years, and it's every Sunday at 5 p.m. Central Time and 6 p.m. Eastern Time, and then it always goes to a podcast, so you can find all of that on my page, which is Dr. Mara Karpel and Your Golden Years on Blog Talk Radio. And you can find everything at my website, drmarakarpel.com. And I'm going to spell it out. So it's drmarakarpel.com. I contribute to thriveglobal.com, which is Arianna Huffington's that's her health and wellness publication online. And those blogs are about living a passionate life, as well as, new lessons that I learn along my path, the obstacles that I hit, and we're all going to continue to hit obstacles. So I try to write about the lesson that I can see in that obstacle. And those are all on my website, drmarakarpel.com. My Facebook page, Dr. Mara Karpel Your Golden Years, has everything that's coming up. So when I post a blog, it's there. I post it there. When I do a show coming up, you can find out what's coming up next, or you can hear the podcast there. We do videos, any news about my book. The book has been out since September when it was first published. It hit International Bestseller status in 10 countries. On the back of the book, it says 7 because they did the cover before it hit the last 3 countries. 10 categories. I'm sorry, 10 categories, but in several countries. And, it's available on Amazon. If you go to my name, Mara Karpel, you can find it. It's also available on my website, and it's also available on Goodreads and Barnes & Noble, all online. And I'm doing some public speaking. I'll be speaking in June about following your passion so that you don't burn out, for a group of doctors, social workers, and nurses who work with in a palliative care home. So it's end-of-life home, and they want something to help them keep going. So I'm going to be speaking to them, and I'm available to speak about living a passionate life. And so
awesome.
I just really want people to feel more passion and joy, and to share it and have that view that they also want to help the world feel more passion and joy. I think that we can create a kinder, more loving, more joyful world, one person at a time.
I love that. A lot of people want to, I have a goal to inspire 1 million people, and now they're like, how do I do that? But just one at a time. One person at a time.
One person at a time, and it has, what they call the ripple effect, right? And if they're joyful, they're going to share that. And when people are joyful and following their passion, they don't want to create negativity. They don't want to hurt other people. They want to spread the joy. So, it's not a selfish pursuit. We're really helping the world to heal.
Yep, absolutely. So as we start to close the show, can you give us a nugget of knowledge that will motivate, transcend, and inspire someone to take action today?
I think here's one thing. A lot of people talk about how they just don't have time. We're just so busy. I don't have time to think about what my passion is, or to take care of my body and my health and my mind and my soul. And I think it's really important to just reassess your day. Just sit down and think about, what are you doing today, and what are you doing just out of habit or because it used to be something that you needed to do or obligation? And what can you let go of so that you can start making little moments in your day where you can actually work on your passion. And one way of working on your passion really is taking some time to just relax and clear your mind, get out in nature, learn how to meditate. All of these things will help us to then open us up and create space to have more passion and joy in our lives.
Love it. If you had to describe, or you had to point to a person, or you had to show that is what a passionate life looks like, what do you tell people?
If I had to describe a person who's living a passionate life?
Yeah, if you said, see that person over there? You see that person over there? That's what a passionate life looks like. You see how they carry themselves? You see the smile? Like, how do I know? What's the metric? How do I know? What do you tell people that this is what a passionate life looks like?
I think that when people have more passion, you just said it, they smile a lot more. You can hear it in their voice. They have more energy. They're enthusiastic about, just like yourself. When I hear you speak, I can tell that you have passion because you're so enthusiastic. There's just an energy that comes out of you that shows your vitality and your joy and your enthusiasm. And it doesn't mean that we don't, someone who's living a passionate life doesn't hit some rough times, but that person is so driven by their passion that they find a way to get themselves back up again, and they keep going, and they want to share that joy and be honest and let people know, hey, I went through a rough spot and this is how I got out of it. So, kinder, more compassionate. I
love it. Love it. Yeah. I always believe that there has to be some kind of a standard, right? Of course things are subjective, but how do I know? And I think a lot of people are always in the back of their mind, they're wondering, is this what success looks like? Is it? For some reason we say, oh, if you don't have $1 million business, you're not successful. Oh, if you're not having $100,000, in revenue or net, or if you don't have this, and that's not successful. I make my own version of success, and I make my own version of what a passionate life looks like. But I'm always curious what other people think or say, especially when you write a book, and I read through there, and you do kind of outline some things, like if you do things like this, like you said, you smile a lot, but, when you get out in nature and you start doing things at an extraordinary level, you're not just a clinical psychologist, right? You are passionate about what you do. This is what sets your soul on fire. You thought that something was missing. And so you describe these things, inside the book. You describe these things, and there is kind of a metric, and there is kind of a standard, of the way that you should be operating inside of whatever you think a passionate life, looks like. For me, it's when I wake up, am I dreading getting out of bed, or am I excited about what the day is going to bring? When I go speak on stage, is my soul on fire? Am I excited about the opportunities that are presented to me during this moment? Or am I dreading going on stage because I don't really care for it? It's just something I have to do because people say that you have to have a speaker career in order to have a successful business, Am I excited about a podcast or writing books or whatever? If there's something in your life that you just absolutely hate, then I tell them, don't do it and just outsource it, or find a way to find something passionate about it. I'm not thrilled to write a book. I'm not thrilled because I wrote 2 of them, and it's like, man, it takes forever, you know? And there's so much editing, and then you find out that you don't write as good as you think you do because the editor has like destroyed it, and you're like, that's my work. You're like, there's so many grammatical errors in your sentences, structure suck. Like, I don't know how many times she was like, seriously? You went to high school, right? Like, your sentence structure sucks. I'm like, I write the way that I talk. She's like, yeah, I can tell. You know, and so, yeah, I just, you know, when I think about living life passionately, like turning your pain into passion is what I always say. Turn your pains into passion, right? Which means that you went through this one hard thing, turn that into fuel to either not go through that hard thing again, or like rape victim advocates are 9 times out of 10 people who know someone who was raped or was raped themselves. So when we talk about these transformational moments, it's this thing happened. I've taken that hurt, that pain, and turned it into passion. And so this is what fuels my life. This whole thing, I'm consumed by it. This fuels my life. That's kind of my standard, my metric.
Well, you know, as I mentioned, I was getting woken up in the middle of the night. And it went on for years where I felt like something is missing. It was like, you know, they call it it's been called the dark night of the soul. And I think I went through years of dark nights of the soul.
Yep.
Yeah. And then in the morning I would get up and I would go through my day and just do what I needed to do. And but then I started listening to it, and it's, you know, it's really easy for people to get drawn into that life as usual rut where they just kind of push away those voices and don't pay attention. And life is easier when you just go out and you do what you're expected to do, and you get into the routine and you ignore, maybe take a sleeping pill so that you could sleep through those voices and you don't have to listen. But when I started listening, and at the beginning I didn't know what it was telling me, so I started exploring my own creativity. I started drawing and doing more spiritual work on myself. Then I started feeling good, and that sort of opened me up to what other opportunities were going on. And I think the metric for me is that I don't wake up with that, oh my God, what am I supposed to be doing? And occasionally it still happens because life is like that, right? You know, it's not all, like you said, sunshine and rainbows. And when it does happen, I'm able to remember that, okay, if I listen to it, this voice is going to lead me in the right direction. So what is it telling me? What is my soul, the voice of my soul telling me that I need to do now? And I know that I'm on the right path because I feel excited about it. Even when I have to, all those days of sitting in front of, sitting in front of the computer, writing the book and re-editing and all of that, I felt excited about it. That's how I knew that writing was one of my passions. And, you know, having to get set up to do a radio show and calling making sure the guest has all the information to call in, and they're confused, they have the wrong week, and all of that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
But but I get excited about it. You know, once it starts to go smoothly, then it's like, okay, it was worth it. It took a little effort, but this was really worth it. And not every day I wake up feeling wonderful, but then I'm able to look and say, well, what is it that sort of knocked me off the path? Why am I not feeling so wonderful today? Am I not taking care of my body? Am I not eating right? Am I not exercising? Am I letting my worries get in the way? Am I not focusing as much time as I want to on what brings me joy? Maybe I need to make more time and, follow my own lessons that I'm teaching other people to, follow my own advice.
Right.
I can't tell you how many times I open up my own book to find advice for myself.
That's funny. You have to love
Yeah.
the whole journey. You can't just love the good times and try to avoid the bad times, and you have to take it all. And some people, they give up when it gets hard, or they stress out when it gets hard, and that's just part of the journey. Like they always say. Yeah, it's like they always say, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it, and everybody would be a millionaire. But that's not the case,
Exactly.
because it is hard, and it's meant to be hard. And so I don't know. I always look at it, when a failure comes, it's like part of the journey, man. Just accept it. It's part of the journey. Enjoy the failure just as much, and celebrate the failure just as much as you would celebrate the wins.
And what really helps is actually speaking to other people who are following their passion, just like you and I are speaking, and hearing about how they also have had failures. I'm not the only one who keeps failing, and it sort of makes that connection. Yesterday I was speaking with someone who I have taken a course with. And, because he's further along in getting his book out there. And so, and I, said, wow, he's really made it. And then he talked about how difficult it was sometimes to sit down and do the tedious work and get back up after, he's been knocked down and something didn't go as well. And I felt that, like, wow, okay, I'm not alone. And not only that, I'm connecting. I had this, like, personal connection with someone who I see as a star, right? Because we share that we fail sometimes, and it's not always easy, just like we're discussing this right here. So, yeah, there is that positive side to it. We're all human.
Yeah, absolutely. Dr. Mara, I want to thank you so much for your time, for coming on the show today. It is an absolute honor and a privilege to talk to you. I really, really appreciate your authenticity, your vulnerability, and sharing with us your passionate life.
Well, thank you so much for having me on the program, Sean, and inviting me to this. I feel honored to be interviewed by you and to be on your program, and I just love sharing this information, and I love sharing with you your experience and, connecting with you about it. And I'm sure that there are listeners who I hope that can connect to this and say, yeah, no, I get that. That's me.
For sure. For sure. Well, thank you so much for your time. Life Transformation Radio listeners, an amazing guest, inspiring the world around her, striving to get people to live their most passionate life. If anything resonated with you, please reach out to Dr. Mara Karpel, and her book is titled The Passionate Life, Creating Vitality and Joy at Any Age. You can pick it up anywhere books are sold. Go to her website, drmarakarpel.com, and go to Facebook and LinkedIn. She's right there. The links are in the show notes. Go ahead and copy those links, click on them, and check her out and connect with her and see what she is all about. As we close, subscribe to our shows. Right? We're both on Blog Talk Radio. Subscribe to Life Transformation Radio and subscribe to Dr. Mara Karpel and Your Golden Years. As we close, I always say, live your brand. Find opportunities every day to live out the core values that you hold deep in your heart. And I call this living your brand. So until next episode, live a great life.
Good night. Good afternoon.